This week I was unable to make the video that I originally intended on making. I did make it out to the skate plaza out there in Buffalo, New York. I was planning on filming something there. However, when I got there, it's the most beautiful day that they have ever had, mid-November, and the park was way too crowded for me to film a whole episode. So this week I'm gonna do something a little bit different. Now over the last 2 weeks, it seems like every single rollerblading YouTuber that I follow has purchased a set of USD AEONs. And I'll leave it to them to make their full reviews. That's not what I'm here to do. But I did skate this boot for 2 years, and there's some things I learned, some cheap tricks and tips that I want to share with you guys to help you get the most out of the USD AEON. All right, we're going to start the list with something that I think is the most important thing. If you do nothing else on this list, as soon as you get your skates, you should go invest $4 in some blue thread locker. Put thread locker on all of your cuff bolts. In my experience, USD cuff bolts back out every single model, every skate. They just always back out, and the tendency is to over torque them to get them to try to stay in. The problem with the AEON is that they have very unique cuff bolt receptors, and they're also very weak. So if you over torque them and start doing topside tricks or putting a lot of torsion on your cuff bolts, they are going to snap. I actually snapped a couple within about 6 months. One of which was actually doing this trick here. Now if this happens to you and if you do break one, contact the shop you purchased your skates from. They will be replaced under warranty, but you are going to have to wait for those parts to ship out to you before you can get back to skating. So if you want to avoid that altogether, all you have to do, put some thread locker on your cuff bolts, tighten them down to a normal amount of pressure, let them set before you skate again, and it'll never be an issue. Little side note here, the cuff bolt receptors actually have special particular spots they're supposed to go within the boot. The receptors are numbered. They are 1, 4, and 6. The number 1s go on the outside of the cuffs. 4 goes on the inside of the left boot. 6 goes on the inside of the right boot. And the hole for the bolt should be positioned to the rear of the boot. It is very important that they are in the right position, otherwise you're going to have some pretty gnarly pressure points within the boot. Tip number 2, and this is going to be relevant to every model of AEON with the exception of the new Basic 2 AEON. That one does not come with a 45-degree strap. However, if you swap to a 45-degree strap on it, then this will apply to you. But anyone who skated this skate knows that when you go to pull this 45-degree strap tight, the anchor side of it always comes loose. I don't know why it works on the carbons and carbon frees, but on the AEON in particular, that Velcro just does not hold. And there is a simple, like $4 fix again. Just go buy a tube of super glue and glue this side shut. That's all you have to do. If your mom sews,
does your mother sew?
Or if you know how to sew, you could always put a couple of stitches in this side as well, and that'll hold it closed. But seriously, you probably have some super glue laying around your house anyways. Just throw a bead of glue in there, clamp it shut, leave it overnight. Next time you skate them, this thing will never fly off on you again. All right, tip number 3, as most of you guys probably already know, but in case you don't, the AEON actually has holes inside the boot to make room for the wheels. It's the beauty of the boot. Getting rid of UFS, you can get the wheels closer to the boot, get a lower ride height on a flat 60mm frame. It's great, but that requires having a plastic insole to prevent your liners from getting eaten by the wheels. And I've skated this skate with 4 different liners. The Intuitions, which I highly recommend, but I know it's not in everyone's budget. If you can, I'd recommend the second skin liners. If you can get a hold of Rain V3s, I'd actually pick those over the second skin liners. But also the USD basic liner that comes in these are good. No matter what liner you use though, an issue I ran into was this hard plastic is very slippery. So all you gotta do to solve it is if you have some shoe glue laying around, I think it's like $6 or $7 to pick up a tube. Otherwise, if you have a hot glue gun, you just put a couple of beads of glue or shoe goo on there, and that'll be enough I would actually do it on both sides to keep it from sliding around inside the boot, and then also to prevent your liner from sliding around on the top of it. If you don't mind a little bit of slop in your skate, not a big deal, but if you're like me and you want everything to fit as snugly and have no movement in your skate at all, really quick, easy, cheap fix for that. All right, tip number 4, again, applies to every model of AEON except for the new Basic 2 model of AEON. That comes with a rounded profile wheel, I believe. Every other one comes with they say it's a 61mm square profile wheel. And if you are worried at all about wheel bite, I know that you see the big grind space and you think that's gonna save you from wheel bite, but I promise you, having a rounded or a speed profile wheel on this skate is gonna protect you more than having this big grind space. So it's not necessarily a cheap upgrade, but it may not cost you that much if you can get the shop you're purchasing from to just go ahead and swap those stock wheels off in exchange for a rounded or a speed profile wheel, maybe something like the Conjure Cosmics if you can get a hold of them. I know they always sell out immediately, which good for those guys, that's awesome, doing great things. But yeah, the stock AEON wheels are great wheels. If you do prefer a square profile wheel, they're actually really good wheels. They roll really fast, plenty of grip. But if you're worried about wheel bite at all, go ahead and look into swapping out those wheels for your favorite rounded or speed profile wheels. Little bonus tip here, while you're swapping the wheels out, if you do it yourself, go ahead and swap the axles in these things. I don't know what metal they're made out of, but it is very soft and it is extremely easy to strip the Allen heads on the stock axle hardware that comes on these. So if you have any spare 8mm axles laying around from other skates, go ahead and see if they fit. I swapped these out for Symetrics RVS hardware. It's amazing, but it's not cheap. They actually don't fit properly. I just went to Home Depot, bought some rubber grommets, stuck it in on the negative side. It sits flush. I don't have any issues with it rubbing, even if I do negative grinds. Prevents it from rattling. But anything is better than the stock axle hardware that comes on these things. I've stripped so many of those Allen heads, and it is just super annoying. So while you have them out, if you have some spare axles laying around, go ahead and throw those in. Tip number 5 here, final thing, and I think anyone who skated AEONs for more than a couple sessions is going to agree with me here, to always keep a good bar of wax in your skate bag if you skate AEONs. I mean, you should anyways, but especially AEONs, the sole plates on these things slide so slow. You are going to need some good wax. So whether you carry golf wax or your favorite skate company's wax, always keep it on you and just go ahead and get over worrying about what skateboarders think about you waxing the coping. You are going to need it. The compromise that the AEONs have to make with being a unibody design, the shell has to be soft enough to not be miserable to wear on your foot, but then that soft plastic makes the sole slide slow. They're actually really fine for H-block tricks, groove tricks, slide perfectly fine, but sole tricks are just so slow. They're so slow. There's some mods out there you can do. I think Slicks is offering a bolt-on sole plate. Maybe look into that, but the cheapest option is just to go pick up some wax and use it. That is going to do it for this video. If you have any more questions about AEONs, drop them in the comments below. If you're looking into what liners work best in the AEONs, I actually made a video about that a while back. Be sure to check that out. Hopefully next week have more of a normal video for you. But that is going to do it for this time. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Goodbye.